with that being said, I will make a motion to remove the Mosinee Indian as the mascot for Mosinee, effective upon the identification of the new mascot and approval by this board.
Just to clarify, are you saying the M emblem, or are you talking the Indian?
My motion will be to remove the name Indian as representative of Mosinee High School or Mosinee School District to take effect, and the M, to take effect at the point in time when they complete the work that they identified in their future work to bring to us what that selection would be.
I'll step up. I'll second that motion.
We have a motion on the floor by Barnes, a second by Thiel, and that would be the opportunity for discussion.
If I may.
You may.
Little research. There was a law signed by Scott Walker back in 2013. It was a signed bill on the Indian team names and mascots. And I'm just not going to read the whole thing because you put the 3 minutes up for me. But his statement was to decide to sign the measure because it creates a process by which the citizens in the communities affected have input and direct involvement in the undertaking of changing a school mascot. And just some of the things that he highlighted. If the state bans speech that is offensive to some, where does it stop? Basically, he's also saying the measure he signed will take effect. It did take effect on Saturday, and this was in 2013. It will allow complaints to be considered only if they are submitted along with signatures from the district's residents equal to 10% of the student population of the district. It changes the burden of proof, so the person filing the complaint has to prove the team name or mascot promotes discrimination. I don't think the data that we were given here tonight proves that.
I would agree that that's what that, and I understand what it says, but I don't believe we were brought a complaint here regarding this. We had students come to us and ask us to make a change of our mascot, and I think those are two entirely separate items.
And I guess moving forward, I'd like to see us follow the law that was put out there by our governor. I mean, to me, I agree these are all great statements and great hard work. It's a start. I don't think they're showing how the community is here tonight, being that we had how many things going on. When the meeting is, it's December 19th, a few days before Christmas. I was at that first meeting, and I think if this was out there more for some of these community that were to vote on it and out there for them, you know, let's take it farther. You know, let's put it on the ballot in April for people to vote and get a true vote and community. I don't think we're seeing that tonight or what's been put out there. I mean, you got to face a lot of people in our community don't have computers. I can tell you my parents don't. They should have a right to speak. And well,
I'll let go.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Anyone else wish to comment?
I wouldn't mind the Indian logo, but having it with another, well, like a mascot, like the wolf or the buffalo, being in command of that would be one idea. But I, as your motion, I am not opposed to guy with the double.
You lost me there a little bit.
Yeah, but this is a possibility.
I commend you also. I know you took on a lot of work, and I give you credit because I'm born and raised, my kids are born and raised here. It's a big deal in the community. And I realize you're a group, and you're a group that set out to do something. And there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. And I think you're headed in a wonderful direction. I do feel the community has to be a little bit more input into it, not because to demean you or anything from you, it's just so that nobody can say, this is a group of students that want to change. And I know you have the data there, but you know, if you live in Mosinee, you know how Mosinee is. And I don't know, Ann, if there's such a thing, but I love the work you did. I think it's great, you're on the right path. I would like to see you even keep continuing with it, take it to the ballot, let the people vote on it, and it's done.
That's it. There's no opportunity for public comment at this point in time. Thank you.
So I have to ask, has legal counsel been at least advised that if we continue to keep the name Indian and actually use the, I'll call it logo, and promote that, is that a risk to our district? Eliminate the M?
So that I understand your question correctly, you're asking if we were to revert back to continuing to use the Indian symbol with the headdress and the name Indian and go backwards and make that the mascot. Is there legal jeopardy for the district?
Yes. That's my question.
I don't personally know the answer to that question.
The answer to that question was in the document that Diane read.
Yeah, I can tell you, if we did a little, I think we could have researched this a little bit better to promote another idea out there. Is there something, could we go talk to some of these people that were originally here way back? I mean, it is a pride. It's not so much, they're not saying it was discriminating, they're just looking for a mascot. I understand that. I went through this process back in whenever it was, and I didn't want to do this again. But there are things in there, there are other school districts that fought it, and they still have their logo to this day because of this law.
Yeah, again, I'm sorry, Corey, do you wish to speak on anything?
No, I'm not. Help you with.
I think that, as I listened to what you read, that deals with an individual coming to our district and filing a complaint. We don't have that here. I don't think that law that you read is applicable to this situation and what these students are bringing forward. That's my thought on what you just read to us. You indicated there's a complaint by a person, and their complaint has to be substantiated with petitions or signatures.
Well, that's what these.
I'm not aware of a complaint coming to the district. I'm aware of students coming forward to this board asking for a mascot or a change to this. And as I've reflected on this, and I've given a lot of thought to this, this is a very easy decision for me. I'm obviously in favor of changing the name. And that doesn't come without recognizing there are members of this community who have wonderful thoughts and pride associated with the Mosinee Indians name and their education and opportunity they received from this district, whether it be 5 years ago or 30 or 40 or 50 years ago. And my hope for my children who are in this district and for these kids and for all the other kids that come through our district is that we make that change so they have the opportunity to have the same opportunities and be proud of their school. I've heard residents talk to me about a lack of school spirit and pride. I also have witnessed that in attending sporting events. I think this is one small step to improving that. I don't think it's a chicken or egg argument to say what has to come first. I know that there are students that don't want to stand up and cheer for the Indians because they don't think it's appropriate. There are people that think it is, there are people that think it isn't. We have an opportunity to affect change here and put this to bed so that 2 years from now we don't deal with it again, 5 years from now we don't deal with it again, because I am very confident if we don't deal with this tonight, it's coming back to us. And I appreciate what the community thinks, but when I look at what the student body wants, and that's very telling to me, and based on that, one of the easiest decisions I've been asked to make personally as a member of this board. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I would ask for a roll call vote.
Can you read back the motion, please?
To remove the Indian and the M to take effect administer what selection would be. To remove the Indian as the mascot.
Just to make sure I'm clear on that, you have the statement to remove the Indian as the mascot?
And the M to take effect and to bring us to, and for the students to bring what the selection would be.
Now's the time to make sure that the motion you made is accurately reflected in the minutes.
You bet.
So, to clarify,
She's waiting for you to say yes.
yes, thank you, Cory. Yes, so, and then roll call vote, please.
Barnes,
Yes.
Lewis. Gorman,
No.
Kaiser,
Yes.
Kramer,
No.
Field,
Yes.
Tomcheck,
No.
Zebro. 3 yes and 5 no.
That motion has failed.
I will make a motion that we leave as is current status of what we have as the Indians and no change.
We have a motion on the floor by Gorman. Is there a second?
You guys called 3 times.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? And a third time, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
That's what I have to say.
Motion fails by lack of second.
I would so move that these young individuals bring back their recommendations for what they proposed. Maybe 4 or 5 recommendations to the board.
We have a mo-
So
For a new mascot.
sure, I would just like to just interject with the board. They put a lot of time and effort into this. I don't know that you want to make them continue down the path of bringing forward an actual new mascot when this board has just said by a vote of 5 to 3 that you do not want to change it.
His right to make a motion still is there.
True, absolutely, yeah.
This is the only way we can move.
Okay.
What has to happen in place this meeting, first, take care of your motion.
We have a motion on the floor by Mr. Kaiser requesting that the student senate bring back options for mascot. Correct.
Bring back 4 different.
4 different options for mascot. Is there a second? We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? And a third time, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? That motion fails by lack of second.
May I have the floor?
Yes.
So what has to happen in the course of this board's business is that we have a responsibility to provide some direction to the young men and women who have gone through this exercise. Personally, this exercise for me, I voted no in the beginning because I did not agree with the how it proceeded. I did not feel that the onus should have been put on the board to form a committee. That's something that could have happened within the school district administration. And I don't think, I felt that they were looking to this board to provide them with a reason to go forward. I would have felt stronger and more positive if this had been a completely groundswell issue and brought forward without laying the responsibility on the board's feet. So that is the basis for what I heard. Personally, I also don't feel that we should be going backwards away from the Indian heritage. I come from a school district that dropped its Indian heritage. I have very close Indian friends that they have no problem with it. They actually reflect the opinion that the National Guard member had expressed earlier. That being said, I would encourage these students to regroup, take a second look at it, decide what the course of action would be. If nothing else, it is a exercise in how government works. It's an exercise in dealing with public bodies' opinions. And if you choose to quit, that in and of itself is a lesson for everyone. I'll leave it at that.
No more motions. We will move on to item number 7C, update academic and career plan. That's when my ears are getting old, I'm sorry.
Welcome, Katie.
Do you want some of the people to let him clear out first? Does anybody have
Uh-oh, I feel like I need to go see the doctor. Just take a moment.
Welcome, guys. We're excited that, so we have been working really hard on academic and career planning at our high school and really K through 12. And academic and career planning, as you know, many of you have sat through exit interviews and have been a wonderful resource to us at the high school doing those exit interviews. And we greatly appreciate that because that means a lot to our seniors as they exit our school and get through their portfolio requirements for us. So we invited tonight our counselors and Denny to share with you what is academic and career planning really all about. So you are on. Thank you for coming.
Thank you guys for allowing us to be here, and we're excited to share the work that our building and really our district is doing. And so we want to keep you guys involved and informed and active and moving forward. So we appreciate your time and your attention tonight. Okay, so the first slide goes over what are academic and career plans. And for us through the state, they are a plan that is being mandated for students grades 6 through 12 throughout the state of Wisconsin. And the mandate is PI 26, you can see that up here, and that was to be implemented fall 2017 school year. Last school year we piloted this, and so we really feel not only last year but in years previous that we've been doing a great job, and we want to continue building our initiatives with providing students plans. The mission is to really empower students to be able to do self-exploration, career exploration, and have ample time to be planning so that they enter adulthood with some guidance.
So this is a slide that comes directly from the state website, I believe, from Academic and Career Planning, correct? And academic and career planning truly is a very large, umbrella that encompasses, from my seat at least, most of what we do at the high school level. And as Katie shared, it's grades 6 through 12. It is a state mandate that is new as of this year, 17-18, which is required to be put in place. As Katie said, we had a pilot program last year. So, and we were able to really blend in what we had been doing previously into this new plan. So, in reality, it isn't a real new plan for the Mosinee School District. And this is the history or the foundation of this. And if you are familiar with this, is the Mosinee Career Academy program, which actually began in 2005 when Jim DeGroot came to the board and requested the initial program of incorporating an exit interview as well as a senior portfolio as a graduation requirement for the graduating class of 2006. We developed the Career Academy program over several years, and this is an old picture that we used to use. This was actually developed by Joe Prowitz in 2005, and we continued to use it for about 7 or 8 years. And now we're actually transitioning directly from that program into the academic and career plan fairly seamlessly with a lot of improvements along the way that are suggested by that particular program. So we really have a strong foundation in this program with the previous career academic program that we had.
It doesn't want to work for me.
Doesn't want
Just see them.
If you take a look at the cards that we provided you with, we wanted every member to be able to walk away with some concrete information, some brief information to make sense of what this program means. And really what we hope students can walk away through is the ability to complete the 4 items that you see on here. This isn't unique to Mosinee. This is very common, and it's now mandated of all school districts. So we want students to walk away with 1, understanding who they are as students. What are their strengths? What are their abilities? What are their learning styles? What are their future work preferences? 2, we want them to be able to explore and answer the question, what do I want to do with my life? 3, we want them to be able to have the opportunity to plan. If my goal is to do a registered apprenticeship, what are the steps in making that happen? If I want to go to a technical college, how do I get there? What are my action steps? And 4, making that happen. So we want to be able to provide that for you guys because that really is the big picture of what we hope our seniors walk away with.
And backing up to that previous slide, I mentioned the exit interview in the portfolio, which is something that most of you are familiar with. We actually built an entire program looking at the transition out of high school piece. Our goal at that time and continues to be helping students understand who they are, what they like to do, and what's important to them, and then be able to relate that to their future. Not necessarily be able to determine what I want to be when I grow up, but rather understand themselves well enough so that when they leave high school, they have a pretty good idea of who they are and how they tick and the direction that they should go. This next slide then is really the transition into the new program. So if you take that very simplified sketch of the previous program, which didn't have all of the elements painted into it, and this now is the academic and career plan that has most of them painted into it. Gina, do you want to talk about that a bit?
As Debbie said earlier, this is not just a student services initiative. This should be a whole district high school initiative. And so what we have on here are the several different things that we currently do that are related to careers. And this is everything from job shadowing to taking electives to the different courses that students can take. We do some goal setting in homerooms. There's just, I mean, you guys can read the number of things that are on there. Katie and I just got done meeting, or are almost done meeting with every junior in the class individually, and towards the end some small groups to go over some of these items. But this really encompasses the whole building.
Just one example on that previous slide, and this is happening tomorrow with our seniors. Last year we had a pilot program. If you're familiar with the ACT test, everybody's familiar with the ACT test, all of the juniors take the ACT test. The next day they take the ACT work keys test. Are you familiar with the ACT work keys test? Probably.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. You will end up with a National Career Readiness Certificate, and it will evaluate you in 3 different areas: reading for information, locating information, and applied math. And then those scores are scored 3 through 7, and then there's a relationship between that and specific occupations. So for Grayson, I'm going to pick on Grayson now. I know Grayson really well. Here's in my class for a lot. When he takes this, and he'll take it as a junior on February 28th, he will get a score in these 3 different areas. And let's say Grayson wants to become an architect. Then you can take those scores and compare them to national standards so that are you equipped to follow that path to potentially become an architect. Our seniors this year, they obviously took the test last year, and we are working with the Job Center, with Gail Hurd, and she is coming in, and we've been working on this with our seniors. We have over 50 seniors retesting tomorrow because the test scores that they received as a junior do not reflect the direction that they hope to go, whether that be directly to the workforce, NTC, four-year college, or whatever. So they're really taking that information and finding that valuable. So they're hoping to increase their scores in those different areas so that hopefully it does match the direction that they're going. So that's a very specific example of the different things that are happening as far as the academic and career plan is concerned.
So this next slide here just really puts it into perspective on the stages the school districts throughout the state of Wisconsin may be in as they are moving forward in their academic and career planning. Obviously you have the dog in the sand that they're not really comfortable, they don't have a plan formulated. The closer the dog gets to the water, the more full force they are with their programming. When we did our pilot, we really felt that the changes that we made, utilizing career cruising, trying to get students more engaged through electronics, we felt like we were that force aid. We were in the water, we were diving, we were really comfortable. And then we ran into some obstacles, and so we realized that we needed to take a step back, do some reflecting, and try to do some more foundational work to make our programming better. Okay, so relationships, that's a really important piece. And DPI even recognizes that in order for this to be successful, in order for our students to feel supported, in order for them to be influenced moving forward, they need to have trusted and engaged adults, family members that can be active in this. I can't tell you when we do our junior conferencing, parents leave and a very common response is, wow, I wish we would have had these opportunities. I am so overwhelmed. I can't believe all of the different things that my child could do between taking dual credit courses, doing an internship or youth apprenticeship, being up at the tech and taking a CNA course of no cost to them. Those are just a few examples. And so that relationship piece is really important.
So the tool that we've been using as part of the process is career cruising. And so career cruising is provided to all schools in Wisconsin at no cost. So we switched over to this 2 years ago when it became available from a different site that we used to use. And so basically we use this, we have homerooms one Monday a month. And in those homerooms, a lot of the times we'll be using that career cruising to go over different things, assessments, other things that we're going to cover are learning styles in there. Anything else I asked? We do everything from goal setting to skill interest inventory. There's opportunities to do course planning, personality assessments. College yesterday, they looked at their credits through this site, and so they can plan courses for 4 years. So it's a really cool site. So we do a number of different things with the career cruising, and they have their own personal portfolio where that information can be stored.
And every student has that.
So students, raise your hand. You have entered into career cruising before? Okay. Every month, and you see smiles on their face. Not always, but. So it is something that we will continue using moving forward. We want to get better and stronger at it to make sure that our homeroom teachers feel supported and working through the lessons with students. And right now, this is how we house it once a month.
This is just another example, and a lot of you are familiar with Careers in Action Day, and we're going to be doing it, and we've got the date set. One of the really neat things that we've adopted, Nate, was it last year that we did this for the first time, where we split the freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors, and we are, so when the juniors are doing their ACT test on February 27th, we're going to be doing the CIA Day with the freshmen and sophomores. Because as you know or may not know, when we have testing in the high school, with all of these tests, it messes everybody else up. So it's a really, really good way to use that time very, very wisely. So our freshmen will be working through junior achievement again and career success, and they'll be doing that right at the high school. Our sophomores through NTC and UW Stevens Point, we don't use that as a selling point for those two institutions, but rather over 75% of our students do go on to one of those areas, and we use those as examples. So we've developed relationships with both of those institutions, and our sophomores have been going there for years. So I'm currently working with them to get that set up. The juniors then, on April 11th, when our freshmen and sophomore are going to be doing their ACT Aspire testing, they will be going out to one of probably 14 or 15 different businesses. And that is actually the very beginning of CIA Day, and that started in the year 2000. And Corey, I know you participated many years with IRO as a business site. And the students go out there not to do a nickel tour of what the business does, but rather, how do you be successful in this business? So it's a real integrated type of interactive type of activity. You can see the juniors, that lower right-hand corner, that's actually the Carpenters Training Center. It's become very popular, so there's a bunch of kids at home meals or something like that. And then the seniors, they do their Real Life Academy, and that is essentially they pick an occupation, and then they have to balance a monthly budget. So they go into the gymnasium, and we have representatives from First Weber, BMO Harris, Valley Community Credit Union, Sturbo Kids, Brickners. It's the people that actually work in those areas, represent, and they run those tables, those booths, and the students have to go around. And it's a very eye-opening experience for most of the students when they find out how expensive childcare is.
Was someone that cover that Act 94, financial Act 94, put it in our curriculum?
It's a good question. I'm not sure, but Act 94,
No.
I don't even know what it is.
It just came out on some of the information we received via email about how we need to, for employment, let's see, financial literacy through in our K-12 curriculum. It's a new act.
Yep, so financial literacy, we took those standards and we are infusing those into our different classes. But what you will see coming forward, that's something the Curriculum and Standards Committee is going to be looking at, having an actual point, half a credit just on financial literacy. So that's coming forward. We currently take those standards and we infuse those standards into our curriculum. And but coming forward, you may see that as a separate required course.
But the Real Life Academy obviously does relate to the financial literacy, and that was one of the reasons why we embedded this into that
That's a part of it,
curriculum years
So
ago.
that's where you'll see one of those standards being implemented with all kids.
And then the exit interviews, which many of you are familiar with as well, and all of our seniors must participate in those. It's very interesting when we started that out. We really struggled with the term successfully complete or participate, and we left the word successfully out, which has worked just fine. Students have to participate because the people that do the interviewing, these are professionals. And if a student comes in, and the first couple of years, a couple of students tried that exercise, and they found out very quickly it didn't work. And then the word on the street is spreads very quickly, and the students come in with a very professional attitude. This is really a phenomenal program, and it's one of the things we're going to encourage you to participate in as a board. Many of you have, but please consider that for the future. And this really does serve as that ACP evaluation piece. When I've had these conversations with other school districts and the chamber and MTC and these other places, the senior exit interview and the portfolio review, that is the evaluation piece for the efficacy of our academic and career plan. So it's a fantastic part of the plan.
Okay, so some obstacles that we ran into last year with our pilot program, we listed up here. Number one, a clear understanding of what ACP is for all parties, which is part of the reason that we're in here together today. Just to be sure that we are informing and we are including. Number two, a buy-in from all stakeholders.